Last word problem set we're going to talk about is consecutive numbers. But first you got to know, what does consecutive mean? Consecutive means one right after the next. So what comes after 4? 5, 6, 7. So consecutive numbers just means one after the other. So if I wanted an example of consecutive numbers, you could say 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so on and so forth. One right after the other. Now, what you also can say is, let's say x is our number, okay? Well, here's x. What would the next number be? What did you do here? You added 1. So the next number here would be x plus 1. Now, look at this. If you got to 6, if this is x plus 1, how do you get to 6? Well, you take your original and you add 2 to get to 6. So the next one is going to be x plus 2, okay? Now, how do you get from your original to 7? You add 3. You take your original and you add 3 to it. So these are consecutive numbers if you don't know your first value, okay? All right, consecutive even numbers. What's a consecutive even number? Well, it would be like 4, 6, 8, and so on. The in order even numbers. But let's say you don't know your first one. What does that look like? Well, my first number is x, right? Here. How do you get to 6? You take your original number and you added 2. 4 plus 6 is 2. So my second number in this pattern is going to be x plus 2. How do you get to the third number? You take your original number and we add 4 to it. So x plus 4 is going to be the next consecutive number. And if I did 10, you take your original number. How many did you have to add there? You had to add 6. So x plus 6. So can you see the pattern when it's consecutive even numbers? Okay. Now, consecutive odd numbers. What does that mean? It means like 5, 7, 9, 11. It's the same thing, one right after the next, just odd numbers. So let's say you don't know your original. We're going to call the original x. How do you get from your original to 7, 5 to 7? You took your original and you added 2 to it. So the next one is x plus 2. How do you get to 9? You take your original and you add 4. So it's going to be x plus 4. And how did you get to 11? You take your original and you add 6. So if you look here, this is the same pattern. So that's what I want you to see. These two is going to be the same pattern because basically you're just skipping a number. But it's still, you're increasing by 2, okay? So when we do our word problems, we need to understand that. Because it says the sum of two consecutive numbers is 123. Consecutive numbers means one right after the next. So I don't know my first number, okay? And I know I'm talking about 2. So I'm going to let x be my first number. And then the next one is going to be x plus 1, my original, and then x plus 1. So I'm going to let x plus 1 be that second number. And now it says the sum is 123. So sum means addition. So I'm going to take my original number plus my second number, and I'm going to add 123. And here, of course, I just solve. 2x plus 1 equals 123. Subtract 1. 2x equals 122. Divide by 2. X then equals 61. And then, if the first number is 61, what's the next one? 62. And do they add to 123? They do. So yours is going to be full sentence. The first number is 61. The second number is 62. So you're writing full sentence. For the sake of this video, I'm just writing that. All right. Let's take a look at 15. Let's do 16. All right. It says two consecutive even numbers whose sum is 54. So consecutive even means we're going to skip one, right? So this is the one, if, for example, if you have 2 and the next one's 4 and 6, here's my original number. How did you get to 4? You took your original number and you added 2. How did you get to 6? You took your original number and you added 4. So that's the pattern, is we're skipping one. So I'm going to let x be the first number. And because it's consecutive even, we skip. So I'm going to let x plus 2 be that second number. Okay? And now it says the sum is 54, so I'm going to add them. X plus 2 equals 54. And then I combine like terms. Subtract 2. 2x equals 52. Divide by 2. X equals 26. So they're consecutive even. So if the first one's 26, the next one's 28. Do they add up to 54? They do. It checks out. Your full sentence. I did not. You are. All right. Let's take a look at, let's do 20. Jump down to 20. And then we'll do that cross country. All right. So now we have the sum of 3 consecutive numbers. 3 consecutive numbers. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm going to list here. So if it's 3 consecutive numbers, x is the first one, x plus 1 is the second one, and then I have x plus 2 is the third one. Because if you had 4, 5, and 6 were consecutive numbers, remember my pattern, my original plus 1, and original plus 2. So I'm going to let x be the first number, I'm going to let x plus 1 be the second number, and I'm going to let x plus 2 be the third number. Now, I've identified them. It doesn't change. It stays. It stays. Now it says the sum of 3 consecutive numbers, okay, that's me adding them together, right? So the sum would be 3x plus 3. But I'm not done. It says the sum of 3 consecutive numbers is, what does is mean? Equals, is 33 more than the smallest of the numbers. That's my smallest number. 33 more than is going to be x plus 33, okay? So once you have those numbers set up, don't change them, but now we read our equation. So now when I solve, I'm going to subtract x on both sides. I get 2x plus 3 equals 33. Subtract 3. 2x equals 30. X then equals 15. So 15, 16, 17, those are my numbers. Of course, you can check your answer. For the sake of time on this video, I'm not. But you can absolutely check those answers. All right. Yours is full sentence, mine's not. Let's do this one, last one. In cross country, the team score is determined by the place each individual runner finishes. For example, first place is 1 point, 16th place is 16 points. In their latest meet, the boys cross country team scored 55 points. If there were 5 runners on the team, and each runner finished one right after the other, consecutive, what places did they each come in? Okay, well, so we got 5 places. So x is the first one, x plus 1 is the second, third, fourth, and fifth. So I'm going to let these guys, that's going to be first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So I have identified my variables. Now, it says that they scored 55 points. So if I added all those up, it needs to be 55. So I'm just going to look over here, and I have how many x's if I add them? I have 5x, and my constant terms, 7, 8, 9, 10, and all that's 55 points. So there's my equation. Now I'm going to subtract 10. 5x equals 45. Divide by 5, so x equals 9th place. So the first runner finished in 9th place, so the place values are going to be 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. Okay? All right, so that's our sets for word problems.